So this is a little bit of a review of algebra, things you learned last year in order to do what we're going to be doing in this unit, which is about similarity. And we'll get to the reasons why we want to know this in the next lesson. But right now, you should just know that you can compare two quantities with a ratio, and a ratio is a comparison of two quantities by division. You can write the ratio of two numbers, A and B, where B can't be zero because we can't divide by zero, okay? In three ways. You can say A over B, A to B, or A to B. You can say it A to B for all of these, A to B, A to B, A to B. Okay, but you can write them in these three ways. We're going to be using this particularly today with a fraction. Okay, usually express A and B in the same unit and write the ratio in simplest form. Okay, same unit is part of the bit. So what's going on here? We've got this little bonsai tree that represents or is similar to the senator. The bonsai bald cypress tree is a small version of the full-size tree, of a full-size tree. A Florida bald cypress tree called the senator stands 118 feet tall. This is only 15 inches tall. What is the ratio of the height of the bonsai to the height of the senator? Notice that they named the height of the bonsai first, so that's going to be either the top or the first. That'll be the A value. So what can we do? Well, we need to express both heights in the same unit. Which unit should we use? Feet or inches? What they gave us. Now, how can we write the heights using the same units? Well, we can either convert the senator's height into inches, like the bonsai is, or we can convert the height of the bonsai into feet, like the senator is. Now, if we did that, converting this into feet, we would get some fractional or decimal amount. It would be 1.25 or something, and you might not want to deal with that. So we're going to do it by turning the senator's height into inches. This is what it looks like, okay? We've got the senator's height in feet right here, and we want to multiply it by a ratio that is equal to 1. 12 inches is the same as 1 foot, so we have a fraction that's the same top and bottom. It's a fancy way of multiplying by 1. Remember, fractions that have the same top and bottom are essentially multiplying by 1. What does that do for us, though? Well, if we put feet on the bottom, since there's feet here on top, feet and feet cancel out. And what we're left with is the unit inches. And what we get is 118 times 12, which makes sense because every one of these 118 feet can be expressed as 12 inches. So 118 times 12 gives us the height of the senator in inches, okay? So remember I said, it says the ratio of the height of the bonsai, that's first. So height of the bonsai is 15 inches. The height of the senator in inches is 1,416. And what we want to do is we want to simplify this fraction as much as possible. The only thing you can divide this by is 3 or 5. And this is not a multiple of 5. You can see it doesn't end in 0 or 5. But if we add the digits, 1 plus 4 is 5, plus 1 is 6, plus 6 is 12. That 12 is a multiple of 3. So we can say that this whole number is a multiple of 3, and we can divide both by 3. Simplifying to 5 over 472. Notice that the units cancel out as well. Okay, same top and bottom, they cancel out. So you simplify it down to, it's a ratio of 5 to 472. Neat. Okay, so you're going to do this got a problem now. A bonsai tree is 18 inches wide and stands 2 feet tall. What is the ratio of the width? Remember, width is first to the height. You want to convert them into the same units and then write it as a ratio. Try it out. Okay, hopefully you got the hang of that. Now let's take a look at what's going on with something like this. This is a word problem. Members of the school band are buying pots of tulips and pots of daffodils to sell at their fundraiser. They plan to buy 120 pots of flowers total, but the ratio that they want to have is the number of tulip pots over the number of daffodil pots will be 2 to 3. How many pots of each type should they buy? This is an interesting problem that once you see what to do here, you should keep it in mind, and you should always do that in this case. But what we've got is some fractional amount, the number of tulip pots over the number of daffodil pots, that will reduce to 2/3. So we must have divided the top and the bottom by some unknown number on the same number, right? So it was like 2 times that unknown number x over 3 times that unknown number x right? We divide top and bottom by x, the number that we need to figure out, and it will reduce to 2/3, okay? So let's think about this, okay? If the ratio is 2 to 3, then it must have been written in the form of 2x over 3x. That means 2x is the number of tulip pots and 3x is the number of daffodil pots. And since those amount of pots and those amount of pots have to add together to be 120, we say that 2x plus that 3x is 120, okay? We write the equation, we solve for x, 5x equals 120, x equals 24. Now we need to substitute that value of x in to find out how many tulip pots and how many daffodil pots. 2 times 24 was 48 tulip pots, 3 times 24 is 72 daffodil pots. You can see that they add together to be the 120, and that fraction, 48 over 72, does simplify to 2 over 3. So the trick here is that when you have something like that 2, there's 2 for every 3 of those, you have to imagine of adding together and saying that's 5 total groups of some unknown amount, in this case 24. Okay, try it here. The measures of 2 supplementary angles are in a ratio of 1 to 4. There is, for every 1 angle or 1 degree here, there's 4 degrees here. And they're supplementary, you know what that means. So what are the measures of the angles? You have to say this many x plus this many x equals whatever it needs to equal. Solve it out. Good luck. Okay, be asking questions during class if you don't get this, or check in with me if you need more explanation for those ones we just did. But we are now talking about an extended ratio where we're just comparing, instead of just 2 ratios or 2 values, we're comparing 3 or more. Okay, so a ratio of A to B to C, or whatever. What does that mean in real life? Well, the lengths of the sides of a triangle are in a ratio of 3 to 5 to 6. We know that the perimeter of the triangle is 98 inches. What is the length of the longest side? That one. So we're going to do the same thing, this plus this plus this. Remember, because to simplify down to this ratio, we must have divided by some unknown number x for all of those. So 3 times x, 5 times x, and 6 times x would give you those lengths, and they need to sum to 98. Okay, so it says you can sketch the triangle here, use the extended ratio to label the sides. I've left this diagram showing, but this is their sketch. Okay, 3x plus 5x plus 6x equals 98, or 14x equals 98, and you divide by 14 on both sides to get x equals 7. Now, how would we use this solution? We're going to now substitute that value of x for the expression for the longest side, 6 times x, or now 6 times 7. And what do we get? We get that the longest side is 42, and what was the units? The units was inches, so make sure you write that as well, 42 inches. Okay, try this with your got it problem. Do the same thing. All right, now a fun fact about ratios and fractions is that if you know that 2 fractions or 2 ratios are equal, you can set them equal to each other, and then you get this phenomenon going on, where if it says 2/3 is equal to 4/6, which you should know, multiplying the diagonals, 2 times 6 is 12. Multiplying these diagonals, 3 times 4 is also 12. This times this equals this times this. You hopefully have already seen this before. They call it that very lowest and very highest number the extremes. They're in the extreme low and high values. And then the means are the closest ones together are those diagonals. 3 and 4 are close together. 2 and 6 are the furthest apart. Means and extremes. You'll see that, so you should know that, but we're not going to test you on that. Okay. But you might see it in one of the questions. Now, what does that mean? It means that if there's a variable in there, like if we didn't know the 2, you could say 3 times 4 or 12 is equal to 6 times, let's say x. 6x equals 12. You could solve for that too. Here's just showing how it works. If you know that a over b equals c over d, you can multiply by the product of the denominators, okay, and that b will cancel out there, and that d will cancel out there, and you will get a times d equals b times c. And you'll That just shows that this will always be true no matter what the values are. Okay, let's go apply this. So we're going to do what we said we were going to do, which is to multiply the diagonals here. Okay, what is the solution of each proportion? Well, if we take this and we say, okay, let's multiply the diagonals. 6 times 4 equals 5 times x, cross products property. And then we simplify it out, divide both sides by 5. We find that x is 24 over 5, okay, or 4.8 if you were to write it as a decimal. Those are equivalent. Now, does it check? Yes. If you plug this in here and you multiplied this times this is 24, this times this, you can see the 5s cancel out and gives you 24. It's good to go. Okay. What about this other one here? Well, notice that to do this one, you need to put a parentheses because you're multiplying 3 times the sum y plus 4. Okay, so you'll distribute through, and you will subtract 3x from, or 3y from both sides. And when you divide this out, you get y is equal to 2. Okay, so 2 plus 4, or 6 over 9. 6 over 9 is equal to 2 over 3. Yep, that's the value that makes it work. Okay, you try it with these and check your answers. Now, some of the properties of proportions is that you can rewrite them and you're still going to get an equivalent amount. You'll still be, if you still solve it out, it'll all work out to be true. What are some of the things that you can do? You can just flip them both, okay? If you write the reciprocal of both, 2 over 3 equals 4 over 6, now you've got 3 over 2 equals 6 over 4. Notice that you still have the diagonals being the same. You have 2 times 6 here and 3 times 4 here, right? 2 times 6 here, 3 times 4 here. No problem. Okay, you can do the reciprocal of both of them. Another thing that you can do is you can just swap the denominator of one with the numerator of the other, okay? So this 4 and this 3 switch places. How does that work? Well, you still have 2 times 6 here equaling 3 times 4. The 4 and the 3 switch places, but they're still equal. So you can just swap the position of one of the denominators. Essentially, that's kind of like what you would do here, but you do it twice, right? To switch both of those positions. Okay, what else can you do? Well, you can say, I can add essentially 1 to each side, right? If A over B equals C over D, then A over B plus 1 equals C over D plus 1. How do you add plus 1? Well, you're adding B over B, right? Whatever the bottom number is, you add that amount to the top and you've added 1. Same thing here, okay? So 2 over 3 equals 2 plus 3 over 3, or 2/3 plus 3/3. And that's equal to 4 over 6 now becomes 4 over 6 plus 6 over 6. You added 1 to both sides, okay? Something that you can do if needed. Oh, and by the way, you can also subtract 1 from both sides if that's helpful, okay, in the form of subtracting the denominator from the numerator on both sides. Refer to these rules because it'll be helpful if you have them, if you're looking at them when you actually want to apply them. Okay, now in the diagram, they've got this written out here. We know that x is to 6 as y is to 7, or x over 6 equals y over 7. Okay, they are proportional. The ratio, what ratio completes this? X over y would be what? How do you do it? Well, the first thing you can do is you can say, okay, I'm going to apply property 2, where we just switch y and 6, okay, like that. How do you decide which property to use? Well, you're looking at what you want to have at the end. Look at how the positions of the known parts of the incomplete proportion relate to the positions in the original. So watch this. We want eventually it to say x over y. So if we switch these, it then does say x over y. And then whatever's on the other side is just our answer. Okay, that's one method to do. And that's probably, out of both of these methods, that's the neatest one. Okay, but what else could you do? You could say the cross products property, 7 times x, 7x, 6 times y, 6y. And then if you divided both sides by 7y, what you're doing is you're canceling that out here. That'll cancel here, and you'll cancel the 6 I'm sorry, the y out here, and it'll simplify to 6 over 7 equals x over y. Okay, you could do that in multiple steps. Essentially, though, what is x over y equal then? It equals 6 over 7. I prefer this method because it's just look at how quickly it gets to the answer. Okay, you're going to try all of these got it problems and come back and check your answer. Yeah. So this should be a review of skills that you learned last year, but as you know, math skills tend to disappear if you don't use them. So we're coming back and we're refreshing you on these particular rules. Be sure you have it. Do these lesson check problems and check and make sure that you know what's going on completely. This is the best way to give it a check and really know, is having answers and then saying, oh, my answer's right, or oh, my answers are wrong. Okay, so write your answers down and then restart when you have yours. Good luck.